Okay, everybody, I'm back. So I know I have guests on the line. Now I've got another guest calling in soon, too. But,
Somebody calling an hour?
yeah, thank you. Anyway, I was talking about the rain here and the weather and the phone lines and everything else that goes on here. I totally lost my train of thought there. Oh, that's okay, thanks. Jeez. It's hard to keep train of thought with all this stuff going on. What was I talking about, Joe? I don't even remember.
I believe you're talking about the weather.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, you never know what's going to go on because of the weather, and, now my phone is, completely screwed, but I have another phone. So, what a long, boring story for nothing. But up here, I know what I was going to say, but up here I don't have the Internet, so I can't get to any of my notes on my website, Roseanne World, and that's where. But okay, so now cutting to the chase. I posted something about 911, and 800 people showed up and posted all this info, and then right after that, another wave of people who disputed everything that those people said came, and then they all disappeared. So now I'm back down to 3 people a day on my website. But boy, if you even touch on the subject of 911, you're going to hear from a lot of people. There are a lot of interesting people with a lot of interesting things to say. And, it's kind of, it's just all disturbing and everything. So this guy, John Gold, he came to RoseanneWorld.com, and he posted some great info, and I asked him to call in today, and he did, right?
Yes, he did.
So let's put him on.
John, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, John.
Hi, Roseanne. How are you?
Oh, a crazy day trying to, at the last minute, the phones didn't work here, and I can't get to my website, so I can't read any of the info or stuff that you wrote that I wanted to read. So I'm just going to have to rely on you to run it down for us. Is that okay?
That's no problem.
I'm sure you're well prepared. How long have you been? How long have you been researching this whole thing?
I have been doing this for a little over 8 years now.
What got you? What got you interested?
Well, after the 9/11 attacks, I fell hook, line, and sinker into the so-called patriotic binge, whereas we must, bomb everyone. And then in January 2002...
You mean you thought that was a good idea?
Oh, yeah. I was all about the revenge. I fell right into that patriotic thing. And so that's why my story is a little bit interesting, because I used to be on the other side, and now, I've been doing this for so long. But anyway, in January of 2002, Bush and Cheney went to Tom Daschle's office and asked him specifically not to investigate the 9/11 attacks. And at that point, I was like, well, why would the vice president and the president of all people not want to know exactly how and why this happened so as to make sure it could never happen again? And, I put that in the back of my mind at the time and still continued somewhat supporting what we were doing over there. And then, I think it was May in 2002, news of the August 6th PDB came out. And I don't know if you remember correctly, but after 9/11, we were told repeatedly that there were no warnings, that nobody in our government had any conceivable notion that this could take place.
Right.
And then we get this August 6th PDB, which is titled Bin Laden Determined to Strike Inside the United States, which talks about 70 active FBI investigations, Osama bin Laden or Al-Qaeda-related investigations taking place currently in the United States. It talked about hijacking or other types of attacks. It talked about New York buildings being photographed and so forth. So when I found out that we were being lied to, I was off to the races and I was furious. So I've been following it ever since, basically.
What do you think, though, the day where you saw, like, the day that we got bombed, that New York got bombed, what did you think then? Could you believe it?
Well, on the day of 9/11, the only question that I had was, where was our air defense? Because if you remember, the Pentagon was hit.
No, I was on the total other side. I'll tell you, my first thought was, oh my God, this is all Ronald Reagan's fault because he destroyed the Air Traffic Controllers Union. And I was like, that was what came in my head, like, oh my God, if Reagan had not destroyed the Air Traffic Controller Union, this would not have happened to our country. And I was like, nobody's going to dare say that, but I still think that's the truth. Do you agree at all with that?
Honestly, I'm not familiar very much with what happened in the 80s other than the Iran-Contra affair and other things that were going on.
You don't remember Reagan busting the entire Air Traffic Controllers Union?
I was in grade school, dear.
Oh, my God, you're a baby. Oh, my God. I'm so old. Oh, my God.
No, but you look great.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know why I always assume everybody's my age. Oh, wow. Well, anyway, that was my thought. So I thought right away, one of my first thoughts was, this is just more of Reagan. This is why Reagan did it. I mean, I always knew it was some kind of an inside job because there's nothing that happens in this world that the United States isn't behind in some way or the other. We don't let things go on. That we don't ignore FBI warnings, especially after they already tried to get in there and bomb the towers in New York. Remember they drove those trucks in there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there was somebody who was an FBI informant, Imad Salam, who was supposedly supposed to plant some kind of fake explosives there, but was told not to by his FBI superior, and that he testified in New York City. So, there were a lot of shenanigans with that attack as well.
So you knew about Iran-Contra, huh?
On 9/11, yes, I did know a little bit about it, but not as much as I do today. And the people associated with it, who also happened to make up a lot of the Bush administration.
God. Well, what do you think now? I mean, I read you've got that thing. Here's the facts. What is the title of that piece?
It's called "The Facts Speak for Themselves." And the reason I had written this article.
Where can people read that?
They can go to 911truthnews.com. Mm-hmm. And read the article. They
can also come to Roseanne World because you posted it there, and that was just a very concise listing of, it's very concise, very cool.
I very much appreciate that, and the reason that I had written this article was because there were so many theories going around that basically created static. You couldn't hear the message. And so what I tried to do was lay it out for people in a way that you don't have to theorize. You just tell the story, essentially, because the story speaks for itself. The facts speak for themselves. That's really the reason I wrote it, to give somebody something concrete and also something I could trust, because there have been times that I have posted other people's work that was not up to spec. So I tried to do something that I had done based on my own work.
So you have somebody with you, right? You have Cynthia Rowley with you?
Coleen Rowley.
Coleen
Rowley. Bob McElvain was supposed to be here, 9/11 family member. I don't know if he called in. But Coleen Rowley, somebody I asked to join me today, she was a 9/11 whistleblower. She was one of 2002's Times Persons of the Year, because of what she had done, and I thought that it would be great to have her join me today to speak about her problems with the official account.
I love that. So let's say, is she on now?
I guess I heard hello to.
Yes, I'm on.
Oh, hi.
Hi there.
Hey, thanks for being on.
Yeah, it's an honor.
Well, I love that you're a whistleblower. My friend Kathy O'Brien's going to call later. I think Johnny got it wrong, and he's going to give her my home phone instead of the... Oh, boy. so I might not be able to get her. But anyway, she's a whistleblower, too. Whistleblowers, you're some pretty brave people.
Yeah, there was a shining moment in 2002 when Time Magazine had that whistleblower issue. Mm-hmm. And ever since that time, it's gone in really the opposite direction. There's no protection in the government whatsoever. You never get a day in court if you're in the intelligence community. And in fact, Obama, who promised that he would restore whistleblower protection in government, has done just the opposite. And he's prosecuting, if you can understand this, Obama administration is prosecuting the whistleblowers who revealed that Bush was conducting illegal warrantless monitoring and torture and all these other things. So the whistleblowers on the Bush administration are being prosecuted by the Obama administration. That's the situation right now.
Boy, you know, sometimes you want to feel so helpless and just like go, oh, there's just nothing we can do, don't you? I mean, do you feel that way ever?
I think you have to distinguish between a realistic understanding of the dire situation that we are in right now and just understanding the harsh reality, ugly truth of where we are right now is not quite the same as being able to do something. A lot of people just say, I don't want to know because I'll lose my hope and then I'll feel hopeless and I won't be able to act. I think we can know where we stand, you know, the truth of it, and still be able to keep a kind of stoic, you know, attitude that we must try no matter what. And
well, here's my attitude. I said I went on some show recently. I can't remember. Paul Provenza's show about comedians, and it's on Showtime. It's called The Green Room. That's what the name is. It's very good. And I got a lot of press because I said I hate hope. And I knew that was some big farce. That's given everybody a fairy tale, and the people were falling for it hook, line, and sinker. Hope is the thing that I think makes people keep trying, even though they should have stopped and moved on a long time ago. You know what I mean?
There's also the notion of shooting the messenger of bad news. I mean, if you want to not know inconvenient, you know, truth or whatever, what do? Is you kill the messenger. The priesthood, who didn't want to know that they had pedophiles in their priesthood, what did they do? The whistleblowers back in the 1980s were demoted and you know, kicked out of the Vatican, essentially. So there's that idea that hope kind of masks something else, which is not wanting to know the truth.
Yeah,
and it's really,
and Americans are just not, you know, well, we're going to have to toughen up real quick because we've never had to have really, most of us have been able to live under a big blanket of BS for decades, not looking at the stuff our country does in our names and with our money. And, you know, we're just at the end of that. So, you know, I know that a lot of Americans cannot handle the truth about 9/11 or anything else, or Iraq or Afghanistan or NAFTA or even Clinton. Nobody can handle any of it, but, you know, they don't have a choice anymore. And if you don't know what's going on, you're just going to perish.
I think that Americans need to seek the truth of 9/11 simply because it's the day that created the post-9/11 world. You know, the post-9/11 world is a world where we lose our civil liberties, where we fight preemptive wars, where executive power is multiplied by 1,000. And if the event that created this world wasn't what we were led to believe, and I can guarantee it was not, then we need to expose that truth so that day can no longer be used to do the horrible things that has been done in the name of that.
But, dude, it's like 10 years later.
I know. And unfortunately, you know, it's still affecting us today.
It's a million times worse today than it was then. And, you know, sometimes I think that 9/11, I mean, don't take this as a personal insult. It's just kind of a wake-up call for me, and I have to ask it. Sometimes I think that you guys you're in the past. Everything has completely moved on. I don't think we are, any of us, ever going to get any answers from this government. We never have. Why should they start now?
Because if the people start pushing for it, you know, there are still 9/11 family members fighting for truth and accountability for what happened to their loved ones that day. I don't understand how Americans could turn their backs on them. That's one of the reasons that I do what I do. I've seen too many family
What about
members.
Katrina, where we turned our backs on drowning Americans?
Sure.
How come you don't look
Well,
at the Indians? We turned our backs on them. They live in like landfills and waste dumps, and they don't even have homes. It's third world in your backyard. People don't notice what's in their backyard in America.
I often speak about Native Americans, and I have posted a lot about Katrina. I just think that, we've got them dead to rights on this issue. That is.
I agree with you there. I do think that we have them dead to rights, but they're not going to, what do you expect them to do? They don't care.
I don't expect our government to do anything. I'm hoping that some kind of international independent tribunal can be set up if the push for it comes from the people. And, once the people learn the truth about 9/11, especially the fact that we've been lied to about that day, I think they would be up in arms. But they haven't been allowed to because of our media. The media refuses to cover important issues pertaining to the 9/11 attacks, and always has been, reluctant to do so.
Well, is it our media's fault? I think it's deeper than our media, isn't it? Because our media just, is another business.
Absolutely. Our politicians should be speaking out. If they were real, legitimate politicians, they would have recognized the fact that we've been lied to about the 9/11 attacks. Cynthia McKinney recognized that, and she had several hearings in the name of 9/11, one in Congress itself.
Right. And she got kicked out of there.
Yes. She was driven out, and so was Representative.
She was set up by... She's a friend of mine. She was completely set up because she questioned, the whole war. Absolutely. And 9/11. And she's just a big example of the things that, I imagine if anybody in the media did have a brain or any morals, which I'm not saying they do, but they might, and I bet if they said one word, they'd be off the air in a second.
Well, if you look back through the years, a journalist by the name of Robert Scheer, he used to
I know him, yeah. Mm-hmm.
He used to write for the L.A. Times.
Right, he got out. He got canned.
He got canned. He wrote an article called "What We Don't Know About 9/11 Hurts Us."
Right.
And he was gone within months of writing that.
Yeah, I know. Anybody who has ever said anything, including Rosie O'Donnell, off the air. So, but it's
well, Coleen could speak to the effect of the media. Coleen, why don't you talk about what ABC
we have to take a break, and then when we come back, we will do just that. Hold on, everybody. Thanks for being here, you guys.
Yep.
What? Oh, we're on. Okay, great. I was running all over, making sure that Kathy O'Brien can call in here the second hour. We can talk to her. I should get Cynthia McKinney to call in, too. But now today we have, oh, my God, I forgot your name. I know your last name is Rowley.
Coleen Rowley.
Coleen Rowley and John Gold, and we're talking about 911. I'm freaking out to hear the stuff that you guys are saying, so I'm just going to turn it. Where did we stop? Coleen was going to talk about the press, right?
Right.
Yeah, Coleen, basically in March of this year we had something called the Treason in America Conference in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, and Coleen Rowley, a 9/11 whistleblower, was one of the speakers, and ABC News came out to cover the event. And what they tried to do essentially was paint us no differently than the Pentagon shooter
wow.
who was around at that time. So they essentially ambushed Coleen. So Coleen, why don't you talk about it?
Well, going back to the press, they do pretty much have a very weakened position these days. If you look back 40 years ago when Daniel Ellsberg got 19 major newspapers to defy the Department of Justice's court orders.
Right, I tried to get him to call in too, but we waited too long and couldn't locate him. He's a great person with a...
Yep, and so you look at that difference in the 40-some years that has transpired. At the same time, Ellsberg got 19 newspapers to defy the government and print those Pentagon papers. At the same time, you had Woodward and Bernstein keeping a source that actually went all the way up to Nixon's Watergate, and they kept their source secret for 30-some years. Okay, go fast forward 40 years, and what do we have now? We have literally Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times writers that are being threatened with grand jury subpoenas to reveal their sources. And these are sources on the illegal warrantless monitoring that Bush initiated right after 9/11, by the way.
Yeah, but okay, so let me put that into, let me capsulize what you just said and say, well, of course we're not going to have freedom of the press after the Patriot Act, which is because of 9/11. It was what they took away the rights. They took away almost all of our constitutional rights that we took for granted after 9/11. So we, of course, have no freedom of the press. We're living under a coup.
Yep, that's what Ellsberg says. It's kind of been it's been a slow coup, because it went over these years. Some of it started right after 9/11, but we didn't even know about it.
Right.
Some of it, the warrantless monitoring, it took a couple of years for people even to find out that it was occurring. And the torture was begun. Waterboarding was discussed actually probably the first time 2-3 months right after 9/11. They decided that they would do that. Highly illegal, by the way. Violates all laws, international and domestic laws, to waterboard somebody. So you see all of these things that have come to be. And because there's no reporter shield law, in the United States, most of the mainstream press believe that there was some protection. If they were
thank God we have Matt Taibbi at Rolling Stone, but yeah, there's just a handful of people who, and just maybe 2 or 3 outlets, it seems, in the mainstream press that cover anything having to do with our country. But getting back to what John said about maybe some other government would be would take up the banner and investigate the 9/11 happenings. What about The Hague? I mean, I thought it was cool that they just went to Israel about the things they're doing. Maybe where are they? Why would they not say, hey, we're going to investigate what really happened?
If you talk to international law experts, and I'm not one, but I've talked to a lot, and the U.S. has never consented to the International Criminal Court, and so it only governs the people who, I think there's 70 countries that have consented to it, but us and China were the most powerful countries haven't signed on to it. So I'm not sure. There's also something else, though, called customary international law. And under customary international law, other countries actually have a duty to go to uphold international law. And so if they have a country, it doesn't have to be a member. If they have a country like the United States that just splouts law, let's go back to the waterboarding, which is actually a more clearer example, because that violates all customary ethical law in addition to the Geneva Conventions, etc.
Right.
So let's say Spain actually was trying for a while. There was a Spanish judge who tried to go after Pinochet, but he's been taken out. So there's powers out there that even in a foreign country, some of the braver judges who are trying to do this fall under enormous pressures.
Yeah, nobody dares. That's why, because everything has been locked down. Did you say we have a call, Joe?
Yes, we do. We have Scott from Yonkers who would like to join in the conversation.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, this is a friend of mine. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Rosie. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Good to talk to you, and hello to your guests. Rosie, you touched on this a little bit before, but I don't know about this aspect of it, but I contend that the big 9/11 conspiracy, I think the CIA is behind the whole 9/11 truth movement, and I think they're trying to get a lot.
Really? So many people are saying that. Is that just Americans turning on each other, Scott, right and left? Neighbor against neighbor, mother against son. I mean, that's what they've done to us, to so divide and conquer us that we can't even speak.
Well, I think that I think I'm a little older than your guest. I'm 44. So I have a good memory of growing up with
with, thousands of brilliant people spending their entire lives on the stupid Kennedy assassination.
It's not stupid.
Well, it is stupid. For one thing, number one, JFK deserved what he got, if only for
Oh,
Vietnam.
my God. Look I'm...
I mean, he helped kill millions of people in Vietnam.
The 9/11 Truth Movement was started by the family members, the Jersey girls, the four widows, Lori Van Auken, Kristen Brotweiser, Patty Casazza, Mindy Kleinberg, all of those widows who fought for the creation of the 9/11 Commission, who were on the family steering committee of the 9/11 Commission, which monitored them. They were the ones who started this. So I can't see this being a CIA operation. I'm been doing this for 8 years now, and I am not a member of the CIA. So I think
it's such an easy thing to say, Scott. It's just such an easy charge to make. And
I'm not saying that these guests of yours are in cahoots with the CIA knowingly in any way. I think the people who are in the 9/11 Truth Movement are inadvertently in cahoots with the CIA, because nothing could be more valuable than for smart guests like you have here. But nothing could be more valuable to the government than for them to spend decades of their lives, which I bet you they're going to do, on this stupid 9/11.
Well, I'm hoping not to spend decades on this. I'm hoping
to
get some
it's not stupid. Maybe it's like, maybe it is. Maybe it's ultimately ineffective because, like I said at the beginning, this government is never going to investigate itself for the smallest infraction. Not even not even for no bid contracts to build prisons. Nothing. They will never Americans do not take responsibility for anything they ever do, and we never have. And we have never told the truth to our citizens either. So I understand that you say, well, we've got them dead to rights this time. Well, so what? We had them dead to rights. Speaking of Iran-Contra, nothing.
Well, my feelings are, we came together after 9/11 as a nation and supported, everything that we were doing. I think we could come together again as a nation.
That got us into Iraq.
No, but I'm saying if we came together under the good premise, instead of going shopping for 9/11 and demanding justice for 9/11, I think that we could come together for that purpose.
Can I say something else? Hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I'd also like to say, even if Bush and Cheney were flying the planes themselves and jumped out at the last minute, them killing 3,000 people, mostly white people. I know there were other people involved too, but mostly white people, which, as Rosie touched on before, as opposed to Katrina and the Indians, is another reason that this issue resonates so much with people, because, as Chomsky pointed out, the difference between this was that it was white American victims as opposed to all the other people that America usually
they were
kills around the world.
international victims that died that day, Scott. They weren't just Americans.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
They were international victims, not just Americans.
From 80 different countries.
Right.
But predominantly they were white people.
I know, like Chamberlain in Denver, he says, hey, he says that, they were all, I don't want to disrespect any families that lost people there, but he says, they were all working with high finance and banksters, everybody in those buildings. So, now look what's happened.
Nobody deserved what happened to them on 9/11.
No one is suggesting that anyone deserved what happened.
No, I'm not saying that, so don't say that I'm
saying that. No,
I'm not saying that.
Here's the point, though. In plain sight, Bush and Cheney killed far more people in Iraq and Afghanistan, and Obama is continuing
in the name of 9/11.
That's in plain sight. We know they're doing that. Why not focus on the things that are doing, which are much worse than 9/11? I don't understand why people think they're doing
I have to say that I can give that some weight, because if one thing is getting Americans together to rally for something that happened 10 years ago, which is not happening. There's a lot of people involved, though. But how about rallying together to stop murdering innocent babies today in Iraq? How about any of that?
That's what I'm saying.
That's what bugs me, you guys. I mean, now this is like a cocktail party on the phone.
If you expose the 9/11 cover-up and take away the justification for these wars, I can't think of any better way or any quicker way to end the slaughtering of babies and slaughtering of innocents who had nothing to do with the 9/11.
Because we definitely have to do something to stop these wars. I mean, he said we were withdrawing, and we're not. We have decimated an entire country with that did nothing to us. And you think they're going to, we'll never even investigate that. I mean, we're never going to investigate anything. I just want to go, what in the hell, what can we do? Let me just cut to the chase. What can we do besides talk?
I have a solution.
Well, it's a piece of the action. Cindy Sheehan started an organization called Piece of the Action, which calls for people to put their bodies on the gears of the machine. She says hi, by the way, Roseanne.
I love her so much. She's so righteous.
Yep. So I've been helping her for over a year now. We had a camp out in March in Washington, D.C. We did it again in July. We're doing it again on January 15th, 2011 in Washington, D.C. to protest the FBI intimidating anti-war activists.
Yeah, what about them raiding the peace movement in Minnesota?
Well, we're going to protest. You know, I was spied on by a private contractor as part of the Piece of the Action organization for what we were trying to do. So, you know, it's a grave situation. We cannot be intimidated. You know, peace, there's nothing wrong. Good morning.
I think that it would be so much more productive if everybody in the 9/11 Truth Movement focused on the ultimate, most important issue that is behind everything. And if you really want to help the 9/11 families, again, this is the best thing to do. We need genuine campaign finance reform in this country.
I totally
agree. That is the only way we will ever attain anything like a real democracy.
We can't have big money choosing our government. We can't have corporations owning our government and expect anything good to happen. I totally agree, Scott. Without that, it's just a farce. It's just a joke and a farce, and we'll we're always going to be victims.
I agree.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that, Coleen?
Oh, I actually ran for Congress in 2006, and that was my main campaign theme. The guy I was running against is a Vietnam bomber from he was, I guess, he was a pilot, and so he has this idea that his medals were tainted by losing Vietnam, and he's a huge war hawk. His name is John Klein. So he was taking all of his money was coming from special interests, and this was even before the Citizens United decision. His money was coming from Lockheed Martin and Big Pharma, etc. So this is absolutely the root problem we have. Scott's totally right about that. It's the root problem. It's corrupting our entire government.
I'm thrilled that we're all agreeing on something, because I just really feel like I just have to say this. We all have to find something to agree on, the left, not the right. That really bugged me about, let's talk about Jon Stewart's thing. It really bugged me that it was so toothless, and their big message was, can't we all just get along? I mean, we need never to, try to work together with the pigs of the earth that are in the Republican Party. That's the last thing on earth we need to do. Thank you, Jon Stewart. We don't need to get along with them. We need to get them out of here.
Right on.
Absolutely.
I think there is in this country, actually, there's a silent majority, and there is an enormous consensus. Certainly not agreement on everything, but what you mentioned right from the start, going back to Reagan, that lack of regulation, oversight, lack of accountability is frankly what has put us, it hasn't been, overnight, but over the years now, it has put us exactly in this position. That they call themselves conservatives.
But they're not conservative at all.
No. the neocons.
Look at President Eisenhower is to the left of Clinton. When you compare, I mean, they have moved us to the right with all their BS for the since the day that that Penn signed the Social Security thing. They have freaked out that they had to share any of their money. I'm just talking about billionaires. I don't even call them anything else. That's who's doing every single thing that's wrong in the world. Billionaires. I don't even say Republicans, Democrats. I don't even say white people. Right. I say billionaires.
To me, it's no longer a left or right issue. It's a right and wrong issue.
It's rich against the poor. Seriously.
Yes.
It's rich against the poor, and there's nothing else. And the rich are never going to get enough. They are human pigs, and they could get as much as 500 trillion billion in their pocket. It's never going to be enough. And they don't care that people starve and die and suffer as they're being fleeced and ripped off to put the money in their pocket. They're psychopaths.
Well, Cindy refers to them as it's the robber class versus the robbed class.
That's absolutely correct.
I also think for a couple of hundred years that America has to suspend the vote for white people and men.
I'm so totally for that. Totally for suspending the vote for, but that anything bad like that. But I'm going to say they are so easily brainwashed. Brainwashing men is the easiest thing in the world to do. I guess because y'all only have one or two thoughts daily. But, no, but you do. But women have a lot of thoughts, and it's really hard to brainwash women. But as soon as you do, all the men fall in line because men do what women want them to do. So this whole culture is about brainwashing women, and it starts with you're too fat, you got to go on this diet, and don't eat too much protein because it's fat. Eat carbohydrates. Well, that crap makes you stupid. And I'm so damn mad at the whole conspiracy, the whole damn thing. I seriously am. Hi, Kathy. I'm like, I am not even going to try to be politically correct or incorrect. I'm just saying the exact truth. The women of this country are completely brainwashed, consumerized. All they care about is things they can buy, things they can put on their bodies, being attractive sexually to men in their 70s. They're taking hormones. They're taking drugs. They're a drugged, brainwashed class of people. And, I'm just calling on the older women like me, us baby boomers, us grandmothers. We've already had all the sex we can stand and everything else. Seriously, it's up to us to come forward and, totally take control and slap everyone upside the head and go, you got to pay attention. You're not going to be alive long as stupid as you are. You don't live long being that damn stupid.
Also, women have to stop watching these damn cupcake shows. There must be
people need to watch
shows about cupcakes on the various food channels and everything. It's just I don't.
People need to stop watching the television entirely.
Totally.
Stop relying on the television. The television is not going to tell you the truth by any stretch of the imagination.
It tells you the opposite of the truth. It lulls you into a thing where you all you can do is sit and pinch your body fat in a dark corner while you're weeping. That's all you can do is see if you've got too much body fat. And it's just a morbid, ghoulish. It just really bugs me to see how drugged and stupefied the American people have become, and it's to no fault of their own. But by God, it's time to wake up now. It's time to stop telling yourself fairy tales. It's time to stop having hope and faith and relying on the big guy in the sky to come down and fix it for you. God is not codependent. God is not going to come and fix your dirty little mess. You have to do it. You have to wake up. I'm so serious. So you guys, what are we going to do?
Put our bodies on the gears of the machine.
What does that mean, John?
It means you got to shut down the system. You got to go to Washington, D.C., and you've got to block traffic. You've got to...
John, excuse me. I'm so happy to hear you say that. I have been saying all of this stuff on Roseanne World for 10 years, and I have 6 people that show up. I can't believe that I have been I have not worked, I have not made a dime in 10 years because I've put my body on the machine. I have put 24/7 of my life into telling the American people and paying for this website that has no ads, that it comes straight out of my pocket, that tells the absolute truth or as much of it as I can find. I have nobody that comes there, and when they do, they just want to know if me and Goodman were having an affair. It's driving me out of my mind.
Well, that's the whole premise of what Piece of the Action is, behind what Cindy's trying to do. We went in July to Washington, D.C. for a week, And we had 6 people show up, and I was furious. I wrote an article. I said, "Where the F are your morals?" You know, we had people dying because in our names, horribly. I mean, we had Blackwater hunting Iraqis for sport, and with our tax dollars. This is just absurd. It's insane.
And then and all the rhetoric about the Christian nation crap and the Jewish people crap. It's just disgusting. They shouldn't even be allowed to say the word God, these American people. What the hell's the matter with them? And, I'm going to stay up on Roseanne World and here on KCAA for as long as I can because I know I'm the canary in the mine. I know I am, and I don't mind being it because I cannot live with BS and I cannot live a lie, and I'm not going to live every day of my life BSing my way through it. I am the canary in the mine, and seriously, for as long as my website is up and as long as I have money to keep it up and to pay for this radio show, I guess there's some vestige of truth and freedom left in this country, and people like me too. But, I get scared when they're doing this whistleblowing thing and they're arresting dissidents. I'm scared as hell. I know that means me.
Oh, absolutely. It means me as well. It means Coleen. People who actively work against the system are targets, unfortunately. And nobody gets... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm in Minnesota, and a couple of the people that were raided are actually friends of mine, and I've been on different community TV shows explaining what the FBI is doing and the laws now that have
what are they doing? Give it to us quick, Coleen.
Oh, gosh. Can I post my paper on your website?
Please do. Please
okay,
do.
I'll send it to you. It's about 5 things, but the Patriot, you mentioned the Patriot Act. There were 4 words in 300 pages that said material support to terrorism could be expert advice and assistance. Those words mean that it went to the Supreme Court. It was argued by a very famous constitutional law expert, and he lost because the Supreme Court now is dominated by Federalist Society type thinking.
You mean activist judges?
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. And eventually, in June, they said that it could.
By the way, I am not proud that Kagan is there just because she's a woman. I am not proud of her at all.
She's somebody who helped with the cover-up of 9/11.
Yeah. I'd like to cut through that mind control program of saying, well, we got another woman on the Supreme Court. No, we don't. We don't have one woman on the Supreme Court. We have a bunch of robotic, corporate-owned whores on the Supreme Court. Excuse me. Continue.
She prevented the 9/11 family members' arguments from being heard in front of the Supreme Court that would allow them to sue the Saudi royals that may have had something to do with the funding of 9/11.
Something to do. 19 of the bombers were Saudis, and we just made the biggest. We just gave them more weapons than we've ever sold to anybody.
$60 billion.
So that's what we do to the people who bomb our country. Well, we make them a sweetheart deal for more weapons. I swear to God, Americans better wake up. You better wake up. You are going to wake up eventually, and you are so not going to like the barbed wire around you in them FEMA camps, dude. You're not.
I want to ask the guests another thing.
Well, now I got to do the news. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more because I told you guys I was going to give you 40 minutes. I'm going to give you a little longer, and then I have my 2 girlfriends named Kathy. One of them is going to pray away evil. And the other one is Kathy O'Brien, who is, for people in the know, is like the bravest voice that's ever been heard in the United States of America, and I'm proud to call her my friend. Time for news.
It's that time, ladies and gentlemen, live from Hawaii. This is the Roseanne Barr Talk Radio Show. And now, here's Roseanne Barr.
Hey, hi, everybody. I'm back. I had to ask Scott to vacate the line because we don't have a lot of lines here so that Kathy O'Brien can call in. Scott, I'm sorry, but if she doesn't call in, could you call back, or Natch or one of the other people that I have waiting? So Anyway, we're back with. I'd like to give each of you guys an uninterrupted minute before we end.
Okay.
Hi, would you like me to start?
Sure. This is
Coleen Rowley in Minnesota, retired FBI agent. My only message is that we can do a lot. The first step is just to do something. And whether it's going to Washington to protest or block, or even writing letters to the editor, I get so many excuses for doing something as simple as even writing a letter. We can use the power of our purse. Roseanne made such great points about consumerism. And here in Minnesota, we have a boycott against Target Corporation because Target is the entity that's spent several $100,000 to elect very right-wing governor, etc. So, I was
shocked at Target, I have to say, because I always shopped at Target because I believe Walmart is Satan. So I always shopped at Target, and I thought, oh, they're a good, nice, real, wholesome family, pro-American. I just can't believe that they've done that. It disgusts me. Now I don't go there either.
They were doing it for a long time. They gave $60,000 to the war hawk that I was running against in 2006, John Klein. And you know what? Even then, I did not personally boycott Target. It's like it took it took a little bit of the media to say, this is a really this company is really into this secret buying of congressional seats and even governorships now. And so you know what, we make a strong effort now not to shop there, and many other Minnesotans are doing the same thing, and it's had some effect. Target had to apologize. I mean, there's been all kinds of things. So when people say they can't do anything, that's not true.
So we can write letters, we can boycott Target, and what else? The boycott, economic power. One thing on right-wing talk radio, there's another power here. You can call into their station. We actually were successful in getting a producer fired that preceded Rush Limbaugh because he called for people to take guns out and shoot protesters at the Republican National Convention. Oh, my God, I heard about that.
What we did is we did a snippet from that show of him saying, take out the machine guns, the good old boys, and we played it for the advertisers. And 3 or 4 of the main advertisers quit that, sponsoring that show.
Well, just because they thought as soon as somebody gets shot, we're going to get sued. That's how they think.
That's right, and they don't. If it's publicized, it's all about making it public. If no one protests and makes these things public, the public just continues in its apathy and will continue in its kind of half-awake, dream walking, whatever they're doing right now.
Well, also that everybody and their brother starts a blog, so there's 10 billion blogs out there, and, but none of the left, it seems, can coalesce or unite in any way to be one solid voice. They have to pick each other apart, even worse than the right. At least the right, they can coalesce around a single stupid, ridiculous, life-hating issue, like women's uteruses and controlling them. But the left can't even coalesce around, killing Iraqi babies. Well, we have a problem. We're under mind control on the left in this country. If we don't figure out a way to agree amongst ourselves and unite, it's probably too late now.
Let me just plug now John Gold and what he's done with Cindy Sheehan. Is he saw this problem where some people like Scott say, well, all of the problem is what happened after 9/11, all of these improper things and the wars and the torture and the warrantless monitoring and the buying of Congress, etc. And they say that's the important thing. And then there are others that say, well, 9/11 is the pretext that has allowed all these bad things. You know what? This isn't really a disagreement. We are all enjoying, there's a strong consensus that 9/11 was this pretext event that has caused all these bad things to happen, and that the truth about so many things and cutting through all of this propaganda, not only about 9/11, but all of the propaganda that has followed 9/11. And I don't think we really have any disagreement, but you're pointing to a problem, which is that people prefer to disagree about tiny little details that frankly aren't that important as opposed to understanding that we have this strong consensus.
Yeah, it's like I wanted Kathy to call in to talk about mind control and social engineering because the people in this country are totally under mind control. And I see it on my site, RoseanneWorld.com. People will come there and argue with people who agree with them. Right. And then it devolves into name calling. They are arguing with people who agree. To me, that it's always been that way with the left. That's why I think Scott was saying, that it's CIA, because, I mean, if the left just sits there and argues with each other forever, what hope do we have to change anything or to stop anything or to find anything out? Well, we've got to find a way to get with each other. Please come to my website, post things. I'm paying for it for this reason, so that something that tells the truth can exist. And I know there's 10 million others, but it would be really cool, just to offer that as a free place for information for people like us to go and read, just so you'll know that it's there.
And I'm going to put my paper up.
Well, thank you, Cynthia. Colleen, I think I interviewed you before on KPFK.
Unfortunately, her line just went dead. We just got disconnected with her. Hopefully she'll call back, and we'll have her reconnected.
Well, that's okay. I'm just going to thank her for being on. She was a great guest. And, John, do you want to wrap it up, too?
Yes, I'd like to say thank you, Roseanne, for giving me the time of day for posting my article. And all I ask is that people take the time to read. Don't brush us off because of how the media describes people like me, because they're lying. Take the time and read, my article, read other people's articles.
John, your article was a brilliant piece of work, and you did a lot of work on it, and I can see that you really pulled it, right out of your you-know-what. You did the work, and you did it, and I'm proud to have that posted on my site, and please call into this show anytime. Keep me updated, be one of my 911 callers.
I will do that.
I feel like sometimes, I'm hopeless, and I think that's a great place to be, because people, if you think about it.
Oh, you can't be let down if you're hopeless.
Nope. All I can do is fight.
But I got to keep trying, because I think it's the right thing to do, and I hope
I'm so glad
people.
You're there, and I'm going to keep trying to keep certain channels open for people like you, along with Cindy Sheehan. I love her. Say hi.
I will. Thank you very much.
Maybe I'll see you in January too. I might be in New York, and I'll fly over there if I'm there.
That would be awesome.
Thanks, everybody.